Good afternoon, Jana. How are you today?
Very good, Paul. Thank you for asking. Thank you for, being here, having this type of discussion with you. Always a pleasure to exchange perspectives.
Brilliant. Really good to see you again. We've had Christmas in the way of our interview. We've been trying to get it planned, and now I'm sitting in 4 degrees. And what temperature do you say you've got there at the moment?
We have like -2 degrees right now over here in this location where I'm sitting, where we are based. So yeah, it's okay. I would say it's okay. It's not what we used to have it over here.
Is the temperature normally colder? Did you say warmer this time of year?
Yes, I mean, definitely this was one of the warmest winters we have experienced so far. I mean, we don't get too much snow over here in the region. So we are in Fricktal in Switzerland. But I mean, when you have 15, 16 degrees on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, then basically it's something exceptional. So we did not
Yeah,
experience this before. It's like more springish, I would say.
yeah.
So.
Are people putting that down to climate change?
Well, you have always, different perspectives on the background or the cause of such events. Some people consider that to be just an exceptional coincidence for the period of the year. So it's yeah, some people have different perspectives, or different people have different perspectives, I would say.
Right. Okay. What about your perspective on it?
My perspective is yeah, certainly it's very exceptional. I mean, when you look at data across Europe, it's not exceptional at all. Everybody was basically in the same line,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was the first one on on that level. So let's see where we go. I mean, we have some data, we have some statistics in hand, so the expectation would be you have such kind of extreme weather events. Either it's warm or maybe exceptionally cold weather in areas where it's not so um, usual to have such events. But yeah, we will see where how frequent it becomes, and
Yeah.
where we take the whole discussion and the whole topic
I like
basically.
that point of view because we have these different periods and seasons, don't we? Where it's very hot or very cold. And why not? Sometimes we get a freak period of time where we get that temperature. We get freak summers, freak winters. So it can happen. My belief really is we are heading towards some form of climate change. We are seeing it across the whole of Europe. I was waking up in the middle of Thailand, and the temperature was like 21 degrees, which is very, very cold for that time of year. And they've never seen that before. So there is definitely a move of temperatures just recently in this season that we've seen. So Jana, we have met through our activities on LinkedIn. And we've had quite a few meetings about, what you're doing and what B2B Energy are doing together. So for the benefit of our audience today, could you give us some background? And I'm really keen to hear about your origin story.
So it's very, very simple, actually. I mean, the story started some 7 years ago. I mean, I had such an experience. It's very simple and very basic. So I was living downtown in Basel. I had a very good job in marketing and communication for a large organization. I mean, basically nothing to be worried or concerned with. And I remember I was once going shopping, coming back from the shopping. And when I was unpacking the stuff, I realized after I was finished that the trash bin was full of plastic fills. So that was like a little moment, which I remember till today. And literally, I thought to myself, that's one person, one shopping. That time I was single. So I thought, wow, if many people do this, what is possible? And then I did not dwell too much on that. I had still continued my journey in the corporate world. But when I became a mother, and we got our twins, there was like the moment of shifting the perspectives for me. I started to really be interested in, what the future looks like, or what are the elements around that. And I grew up in the mountains. I was farming with my grandparents, I had this connection to earth. I know how soil smells. So for me, I just forgot a lot. And when I started to read and join some organizations, I very soon got the impression that we need to do something. And despite the fact that you may have some like exceptional events that are maybe not that are only temporarily, my apologies, I'm not a native English speaker. Still, yeah, I believe, or what we see is just, it's increasing in terms of intensity and frequency, and it's just getting more. And we just do so much stuff that is wrong, and in the basic logic, going against our environment that is feeding us, basically killing it, that I'm not quite sure if it has so much in common with like denying there is a climate change. It's just like implications of collecting so many little points of what we do wrong, what we principally got wrong in the approach towards nature. So there was a moment with my children when I realized, okay, so what's my job here? I mean, how can I help? What is, how can I get involved? And as I'm coming from marketing and sales, I, had a little bit like the connection to this. And by nature, or very, very like organically, I started to build out a network in the field of sustainable building, sustainable living, a lot connected with basic resource management, like water, also waste as a resource element. And this is how the whole idea of Frogeex started, making these type of contacts accessible. A lot of the solutions or the providers which I got to know or heard their story or their motivation, I knew that nobody literally knew them, because it was just difficult to get, through the noise. And then you have all this, mainstream marketing, which is pushing a different type of agenda, talking about consumption of goods that are not maybe needed. And you have all these meaningful solutions that nobody sees because it's just so noisy on the marketplace. So this is where I thought, hey, let's create a place for them. And let's show them, let's make them accessible, because it's going to just save you a lot of time if you don't need to, kind of browse through pages and pages of information until you find some, reference to a company that is really doing it in your location, in your area. So this is how Frogeex was born.
How does you mentioned there's all different variations to the contribution of where we are today. So we've got plastics, we've got the environment, we've got energy management, we've got carbon emissions, we've got power generation like renewables, etc. Do you try to cover all the areas, or you specialize in any of those particular areas?
We don't specialize. We are just a place where you can see them, you can approach them, you can access them. So basically, we like to also bring those segments and those professions together, because what we see, and if you talk to people in the building segment, you quickly get the understanding that this is the case from either the front or the back, that they act separately. Nobody's aligning like a complete concept, which would be green or environmentally sound, or, would really bring the efficiencies. And you see the segments are, or even the solutions are planned separately. So there is no understanding, if you have a green wall, how much is it for, the cost, the energy efficiency, the water, etc. This is only coming right now, and you have this research data available, but still it's not like the process. So this is why we also decided to really make it so broad and bring the professions together.
Do you
the fields together.
Are you seeing any evidence of collaboration? Because we do see some collaboration. I think collaboration is key here. We do need to bring these organizations together. And I like your platform, the way you're trying to do that, because you're then sharing each other's details. So there should be, I always say to myself and to my audience, I don't have competitors, even though, I can work alongside, and I do work alongside other energy consultants in my industry. And we work together, and we provide services together. I think that's important. Are you seeing any of that
For sure, yes, and it was a very positive surprise. I mean, first of all, it brings many benefits if you join even, or if it's like a little association in the segment. For example, we
Yeah.
see this happened for the first channel. It was water. In water, the water people, they quickly came together. They realized, okay, these are the elements. We can complement each other. We can do this in this matter. So this is what really is the power of within the segment. But then you have also the beauty of when you talk to people that are, for example, responsible only for the building, for the materials. And then they start to understand, what is a certain type of material being used has an implication on the water usage or efficiency that is being achieved in a building. So these are the types of collaborations that we suggest, that we propose, and that we also want to drive and create such space for during our discussions. We also have regular online meetups where we really mix the perspective. So you talk about, for example, forests, but you talk about regulation, you talk about deforestation, you talk about blockchain transparency and all the credits, and you talk about the very traditional restoration of forests in different forms. So we really want to create a space where you have different perspectives coming together, exchanging, and looking for how to complement each other.
Do you engage with organizations? So you've got, what I mean by that, organizations that are looking for these services. Not necessarily the people providing the technology or the services, but the people are looking for these particular services. Do you have areas for them to provide forums?
What do you mean by forums? I mean, questions or
yeah, questions, answers, answers for the solutions, etc. So I don't want to mention them. ABC Limited, big organization in London, maybe they're looking for sustainability services. They can come to you. Do you have areas for them to join your group as well?
I mean, for us, in simple terms, this would be a buyer. This would be a buyer as a partner. They can just go and see what is available. If they come to us and they like to see what is doable for them, we have certain segments that we advise property or facility managers to look at. Primarily, of course, it would be energy. Of course, it would be water. Of course, it would be waste. Then you have the difference between retrofitting and being new builds, and all the green elements in connected areas. So, and of course, then you have this more abstract things like business models, concepts, and all this enhancing tools, for example, that can nurture biodiversity or the well-being of people that are living in this area. So we can do both. They can just come, browse, and see what is interesting for them, or they have already like an element that they look for, or they can approach us and say, hey, what would you have for us that you like to suggest?
I like that because I think it's quite key that, you've got this platform for the suppliers, but they also need to have access to the buyer. The buyer needs to be able to come in and, as you say, float around and browse the shop front to identify who's there, what technical solutions can they be looking for and things like that. So what sort of platforms are you using to get all these messages across, apart from your database?
So currently we work mostly, the first channel for us is LinkedIn, but of course we build out our presence across the channels. We intend to do this heavily more. We go into all the SEO elements, so the basic communication channels that we have, and it's really nice to see that it's also a network of partners that is being built around that. So we look for, how can we get the message across or tell people, hey, we are here. This is where you can find your solutions in one click, basically.
Have you found a big uptake on this from organizations coming along to you?
It's increasing for sure. It's increasing, and it's it's also very natural. So the more people you have in the network, the more people are able to come up with suggestions, and they come with great ideas, whether it's a collaboration of the partners on the platform, or it's somebody totally coming from outside. not knowing what to do, and they just look for like basic ideas. So there is an uptake for sure, and this is why we also do it, to prepare for the phase where the regulation really hits in, because
Yeah.
all of us know we are now still in the preparation phase. We have some ideas, there is some indication, we have like this LCA studies, and all the monitoring behind it that's coming, like for the big ones in 2024, and then cascading basically the aspects to smaller and smaller organizations. But you have practical elements that will already influence the SMEs earlier. For example, the financial sectors, they will have their limitations already to report on strategy, to report on climate change related action they take or support. So in the end, it's also the SMEs that will in the end see it in terms of maybe financing conditions, more beneficial financing conditions for companies that comply with the standard or requirements, or have something ready.
Yeah. You mentioned SME. So is this predominantly for the SMEs, or are you looking to attract the larger organizations?
We are open for everybody, for every scale of organization. We have freelancers, we have NGOs, we have universities with us. We have apparently businesses, large and small ones as well. So we're very open. We try to structure it the way to be inclusive, so everybody can join, if it's like high budget, low budget, and exchange and provide, show what they have on the market.
Yeah. What are your challenges that you're up against currently?
The major challenge is it's a lot of information, a lot of movement, a lot of different activities,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are starting in parallel. Sorry. So this is really the kind of focusing on the first steps first, but still kind of building up the pipeline of elements that we would like to work at. You mentioned also some functionality. I mean, the roadmap of the platform is large and wide, constantly having ideas coming in, what you can do. You can play with such a digital tool basically endlessly. Important
Yeah.
is how the users use it, and what is of value for them. It helps them most on their journey. And that's our job, to help them to make the transition happen and realize, for the sellers, realize as many solutions as possible for the ambition, or to in order to fulfill the ambition or the mission to limit global warming. So this is our big motivation, the bottom line for us.
Yeah. I'm presuming that this will release case studies for what you're doing with the organizations as well. If you've got an organization that's come to you, they're looking for XYZ, you've married them two together, they've gone off and they will then create a good case study, which I'm sure you would then put back on your platform to demonstrate the value of what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. Yes, that's part of the story. I mean, we already that's also one of the enhancements which is coming shortly, to be able to have case studies visible, just to let people understand what the provider can do for them, because sometimes it's not apparent. You see scores, you see assessments. It's a little bit, like if you are not in the detail, you may, and even when you are, it's so many innovations and new solutions and new connections that come together, that it helps you to see what are the results having the solution.
Yeah.
So definitely agree. We will do more of that. Yeah.
Jenna, I'm seeing a lot in the industry regarding ESG. Is this a platform that can support the ESG environment with organizations and helping them achieve higher scores within their ESG policy?
Absolutely, and for sure. Definitely. And would we like to, however, also prepare our partners, when whomever they are, if they are a buyer or if they are a seller, is its journey, and we are not finished. We are not finished, and everybody will needs to develop and look at their elements. This is like the part we try to educate them not only on the business, marketing, or communication side. We work with coaches on that, but also on the sustainability elements. If it's deep ecology, where we work with academic people that explain their concepts, and that we have like a solid understanding of the implications, but also like how can you report on that, how can you leverage that, and also avoid being accused of greenwashing, because it's like a double sword. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, you may do some good things, on the other hand you may unconsciously miscommunicate it, and but also maybe you are missing the right elements to really leverage what you do, present it in the right way with full transparency, so the user knows, or the buyer knows, your end buyer or customer knows, yes, this is the right solution. I want to support them with buying their product.
Yeah. How many organizations have you got on the system now? Can you share that with us? I know it's a bit commercial information, but
I mean, we are starting, we're pretty new. We started officially 1st of April last year, and we are right now around 130, over 130 for sure.
Wow, that's good.
Companies. I mean, it's as it is. It's certainly nothing that we would say we're satisfied with. That's for sure not the case. And there is so much more. But it's.
What's your forecasting? What's the ideal figure you want to get out to?
There is, Paul, there is not really a figure that we would be looking for. And we want to do as much as possible. We want to offer a variety of solutions. We were looking also at the geographies, despite the fact that we have like a lot of communication in English, more and more in German. We also launched Czech and Slovak to also provide information for the CEE region. We have some partners in Poland and different countries. It's very, very international. We cannot avoid that. No. And that's also the benefit, because we see people, very eager to kind of bring out their knowledge. Many times you can still implement the solution, even if it comes from Brazil, or it has a strong element. Even if it comes from different regions. Of course, you need to tailor it to the ecotype, but we don't want to restrict the exchange on Europe only or Germany only. They will find their ways to communicate and to look for their providers. More than happy to do so. But also from the thinking perspective and knowledge exchange perspective, we would like to create, and we are creating, a space where you can just go into the open and see who is there, what is available, and exchange with them.
Yeah. So Jana, you talked about your twins. How old are your twins now?
A little bit older than 4 years.
4. Okay, so you've had this journey. The reason why I mentioned that, so you've had this journey now for 4 years. When you're looking in the back of your car, you see all this plastic, etc. How did you feel then, and how do you feel now? What's the changes that have gone through you personally?
I mean, certainly it's stronger. It's stronger, and the whole, consciousness about the way we live. I mean, how does it influence our children? What type of conditions we create for them? That is just much more clear and obvious. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And, nobody has it easy. If it's like policymakers, I don't envy them for the decisions they need to make, for the plans and, the structures they need to create. Consumers don't have it easy at all. You are exposed by your living conditions to certain choices. So even if you would like to go like super sustainable, sometimes it's your budget that doesn't allow you to. So, and also the producers, they have a kind of balance to create for, what they take in, what they give out. So it's not that easy. We have all these elements around employment. So yeah, it is as it is. We need to fight for the future. We want to create and start the process. That's where I would see it.
Totally agree. So I always say, specifically in my industry, it's a journey. So we've got to go on this journey, everyone's got to go on the journey, but it doesn't mean that everyone's got to go 100% sustainability process there and then, because it's going to cost a lot of money, significant time. But if we all take them steps at, them short steps, 1% here, 1% there, gradually, and work our way towards the ultimate goal, then as long as we're all doing it, I think we've got a very good chance regarding making a difference. And I read this morning, it's just something that come up on my screen, said, doesn't matter how big we are, we can all make a difference. And I think that's very, very key in what we're looking at the moment.
For sure. I agree with you. Yeah.
Do you know, I was on a walk yesterday with a friend of mine. He's a financial advisor. And he said he can't believe the amount of organizations and people that are approaching him now that they only want to invest in green. They want 100% green. And he said it's very, very difficult to get that, but they're working on it. You can't go 100% investment in those green companies. ESG is starting to move now. We're seeing a lot of focus on that, but we're still a long way off. But the beauty of it, we're now all seem to be talking about it, which is a very positive thing, I think.
It is better. It is better when you hear people talking about, the projections that were available like 20 years ago, and they are actually super correct and precise and to the point. Then this is a progress. We need more and faster.
Yeah. And then you mentioned plastic earlier. And I interviewed Dr. Frogeex. I don't know if you've met with him. He's in Australia. But he said to me in my interview, everyone consumes nearly a credit card every month of plastic. And that's a big amount of plastic to consume at anyone over that period of time. And, I was very pleased to see there's some climate and environmental awards recently where that company won, and they're making plastic out of seaweed and growing plastic, which I think is amazing. I think we're going to see that transition further as we go forward. Are you seeing any of these type of concepts in the marketplace now?
For sure, there is a lot of amazing innovation coming, and some of it is like science fiction. Like you never thought this is possible, or it was like your wildest dream, and then it's there. So
yeah,
and they prepare it, so it gives hope. And what I would just kind of highlight is we have a lot of great technology and a lot of like because some people call also nature a technology. So this is where you have like how far do you want to go or play with the words. But if we talk about really like artificial technology, man-made technology, then I just would like to highlight that we are part of a system, of a connected to a system, and we threw it out of balance and push it basically further and further off balance. And if we manage to somehow kind of accept the fact or reconsider and recognize what are the kind of key elements that are bringing us or driving us down that journey, that is in the end very harmful for a lot of people, then we can like go back even not only to super science fiction, a technology that is super progressive. I like it, and many times it's like the emergency solution that you need, or many times data or digital tools can really help you to understand or take action better. But in the end, it's the natural processes that need to regenerate. So if we continue, we had a recent discussion on biodegradable materials, and we have also some system thinkers and people that are professionally like looking at the elements and all the aspects of it. But it's very clear there that it's the balance, it's the capacity that nature can manage. So even if you would switch to all plastic that would be biodegradable, you cannot cross the capacity of the absorption of nature. So if you just continue with the same volume of consumption, just switch everything to green, it's not gonna bring the benefits as what we would expect. So we really need to kind of reconsider the way we do things and how we live, how we spend money, how much we spend on what, and if we really need it to be happy.
Yeah, totally agree. So, Jana, it's come to that time in the interview where I like to put my interviewees on the spot. And I'm just wondering whether you've got anything that you can give back to our audience today as a takeaway.
As a takeaway, well, it's hard to say. And it's a great question. So yeah, my takeaway, or like a little tip, would be try to open up yourself for nature and really looking for this connection to it. And some people have different strategies. Somebody goes for a walk, somebody, sits down on a grass field or whatever. I really like the element of earthing. If you heard it, it's just walking barefoot on a natural
Right.
underground. So if it's sand or soil or grass, it's good. And the moment when you realize that you have a problem to take your shoes off, and you have like a little bit of weird feeling, to go there, that indicates that you live disconnected from nature. You feel it's something that is dangerous for you, or something can happen for you. So I would just like to invite people to do it, to try it, and to just look for their positive relationship, and looking for, yes, we are part of this and we should really take care of it, watch it, and develop it to our best abilities, and we can do so much better than what we do now.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Going back to, well, we used to anyway, didn't we? Many in the Stone Age and things, everyone used to be barefooted. You used to walk around. I think that's really important. I love walking on the beach, feeling the sand. In fact, it's a little story here. We was walking on the beach over Christmas, and all I kept seeing was plastic that had been washed up. My takeaway today for the audience is, see plastic on the beach, or see it on the path, or see it in a field, pick it up. Just one piece. If everyone picked up one piece of plastic and disposed of it correctly, I think we could make a big difference. Going back to the earth and going back to nature can make a big difference for all of us going forward. And I do enjoy walking on as soon as I get on the beach, I do take my shoes and socks off, or my shoes off, to walk along the beach. I love that feeling. Is that something you do? So I've seen you do a lot of walking, because I've seen you on LinkedIn, and you're talking either in your language or in English. Is that something that you really do relate to yourself personally?
Definitely yes. And who taught me to do this was actually my children, so
Really?
I really had problems to do it. I really had problems. I was thinking, oh my God, taking off shoes on the playground, full of green grass. I had a problem with it. And then I realized, okay, so let's try it out. And I mean, the feeling was so great that, yeah, I can only recommend it. And of course, you have also some interesting research to earthing and to the positive impacts. And you have all these, electric fields that are connected to that. So it's a very interesting element, that perspective.
Yeah.
But what got me was this good feeling, and also the block, to go into that and try it out. And it's so natural, as you said, we were doing it for thousands of years, and it worked, and now it's something that puts you at danger. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Jenna, thank you very much for sharing what you're doing. We wish you every success with Frogeex and what you're doing now. And we're hoping as B2B Energy, we're going to work alongside you with that as well. So we're really excited what you're doing. Wish you well with it. And we would like to lastly say you and your family, especially those twins, are safe in these times.
Thank you so much, Paul, for this great exchange, great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And of course, looking forward to do more together with B2B Energy for sure, and with all related projects. So thank you so much.
Brilliant.
It was a great
Thank you.
time.